The quality of today's movies is, well, becoming less and less, it's becoming more and more grim, I would say. Let's actually use something that is not injurious. Now, why am I saying this? People are saying, well, movies are getting cooler and cooler by the day thanks to the new effects and the such. But when I look at blockbusters and the such, well, what characterizes them most is, well, nothing else than a set of cool CGI effects, right? Computer generated images that are overlapped, they're put over the original action, and it just makes it look so much more appealing. But movies are called entertainment. They're not called science. That is somewhat of a problem. Because when movies are called entertainment, their only purpose is your emotional output. I'm not gonna dive into why emotional output would be important. Let's say shortly where your energy goes. Well, your energy goes where your attention is, right? If a movie pulls a lot of emotions out of you, well, then it means your attention goes through it. And the point is, when your attention goes to it, well, you've given a part of yourself. To whom and what? Well, let's not dive that much into it. But nowadays society, you live in a sick society when everything is, very shallow, I could say. Most of the movies nowadays, they are shallow. Outside of, stripping people a bit of their emotions and, making them feel sad for some characters that never existed. Well, in a sick society, sadness is very important. Couple that with everything nowadays that makes things look like a complete tragedy, like a complete loss, deaths everywhere, decay, and, well, couple it with the decadence of society. More or less, what we have in society is sexuality, hidden more or less in plain sight, and all sorts of exploitations of the first impulses of, the physical body, like the need for security, the need for survival, right? So, to what avail, one may say? The quality of movies nowadays is kind of grim, I would say. I would say, first of all, because of a, lack of physics, I would say. Lack of scientific support, I could say. Now, what does a movie have to do with science? Well, I'm not saying that our science is superior. After all, the way I see science nowadays is partly flawed. Science may be true or not. The point is, science nowadays is just like the Bible. You either believe in what NASA tells you, or other such sources tell you, or you're more likely a heretic, right? Someone who doesn't propagate truths, and someone who must be cancelled, right? Because you either respect what the order wants, right? Because when things are unidirectional in a society, that's like a world order or something like that. Now, when it comes to movies, well, science unfortunately is used as a tool to distract people. Constant flow of information, because people crave information. And people crave being distracted because distraction is what keeps them away from their pains. Why do you think the entertainment industry is so successful? It is successful because it has the same purpose as everything else in a sick society: to distract people from who they are. Religion is the first platform, because the point is, through religion, you're always a sinner. If it is a monotheist religion, there is nothing else than that single deity. And everyone else is nothing else than a sinner, someone who needs that deity, right? If you end up needing someone else, you disempower yourself. And when you disempower yourself, you feel that you are useless. When you feel useless, you'll constantly suffer. So you'll need distractions, right? You'll need the painkillers. But a painkiller is a pill you take. It doesn't kill the pain. It just numbs your system, and you no longer feel the pain. And you have an impression that the problem is also gone. But neither of the two are gone. Most of the things that cause us headaches usually go away by themselves. So a painkiller isn't necessary, but well, we take it because the impulses of the body need to be controlled, right? That's how a sick society functions. Take care of your impulses and you will be good. So, when it comes to science, it is also a distraction because in a world that is supposedly ravaged by the grim news that we have nowadays, well, in this world, we only have distractions and distractions, but there is no direct salvation. Only a salvation through words, promises, and the such. What do politicians do? What do they excel at the most? Well, promises, but they don't excel. In a sick society, they never excel at putting those to practice, right? It's providing people with salvation, just like religion, right? It was created by the same sick society. What's the point with religion? Well, it also promises you salvation. Well, do you get that salvation? One never knows. Because no one came back from death to tell you, hey, I actually got my salvation from God. So when it comes to movies, there is a huge problem that I see with movies, because it's the same thing as with video games. There is this huge shallowness that is induced in people's awareness, because things happen in movies that simply defy logics, they defy physics. People say, but what's the problem? There is a problem, because the more time you spend in doing those, well, the more shallow you believe life is. Just like with survival games, you just press two buttons and, well, there you have it, you lit up the fire. You never know how hard it is to simply bang two stones one against the others and spend probably even 20 minutes, right? But people know that people don't have patience, so everything has to be done super fast, right? When we speak about shooter games, you simply can't hold a gun that big and, run around and shoot at the same time with 100% accuracy like in video games. And people have this bad feeling, There was this crazy but real moment, when people decided to riot against, law enforcers. I don't know where in the world, but there was this group, they were gamers, and they thought they were in their game. They thought they had their gears, and they could easily beat the law enforcers, just because they could easily beat opponents or AIs in the game, and they got beaten. Well, they got served a bit of reality, right? Because if you end up taking the realities of video games and movies for the reality which we are in, well, you're gonna be in for a lot of pain. I was looking at bits from a movie called Interstellar, a movie that I heard is very impressive. The bits that I saw are very mesmerizing. The music, well, it's Hans Zimmer. What can you expect? The music is colossal, and the events are quite well done, I can't say, but see, there is the black hole presented, obviously Gargantua, which is, well, probably one of the biggest black holes that we know. Now, Gargantua was presented spinning in a certain direction, but the ship escapes in the opposite direction. We don't know anything about black holes. We just come up with all sorts of opinions and ideas because no one of us has gone close to a black hole. Even imitating one is not the original one. Imitation means using some forces to try to make a minor replica of something. But you never know what forces act in a black hole. We only have induced this idea that we know, right? Just like with aircrafts, right? Most of the movies where we have aircrafts and missiles, they're so illogical, right? But it gives people a sensation that, that's the truth. That's why shallowness is dangerous. Because a simple mind is the easiest to mold. When you speak about something, anything that is new to a simple mind, it already envisions it. That's the trouble with shallowness. When you tell about new things to a person who is skeptical, you will need a lot of time, right? You will need some fuss to convince them, especially if they sound like lies, right? Because skeptical people have more, let's say, means of sorting the information that comes to their mind. Simple-minded people, they don't have such barrages, right? Such filters. Whatever you tell them, they already envision them. That's why simple-minded people are the first to believe in whatever, dogma that is. Well, they will always be the first to believe. If you speak about angels to them, they already envision them in their minds. So the problem is they already see themselves as, communicators, right? Or, beings who are in communion with those so-called angels or whatever beings, super fantastical beings that you might, speak about. So Gargantua as a black hole is capable of attracting whole solar systems towards it, but a human shuttle simply disregards all its physics, and with its meager engines it is capable of beating its gravity that pulls from all the directions, right? People have the impression that black hole just sucks things towards it, but it has a gravity that pulls towards it. And at the same time, don't forget that it also spins. And just because it spins in a certain direction, it doesn't mean that, you are pulled in that direction. Around the black hole, forces act in all possible directions. That's why you can be shred to bits even far before you reach the point of no return. Why do you think the matter that flows around the black hole is very rarely physical? Well, obviously, small objects and big objects can also exist, but usually that which surrounds a black hole is usually gaseous. What we see through telescopes so far away is, well, just something very minor. Every time we're presented some pictures, we're just presented a picture of, blackness and some orange spots and the such. You can't tell me that that's a black hole because, that's not proof enough for me. Considering the CGI technology that we have, I wouldn't be surprised if that ultimately is CGI. But I do reserve my right to be skeptical about things, because when science dictates you things, well, that's not science. Science has to be given in such a way that people are allowed to interpret it. Because what was considered science in the 17th century, nowadays, well, it's laughable because we have far greater technology that can prove its futility, right? So science being also part of entertainment, well, that's a dangerous thing because it means shallowness. And when you have shallowness, well, people will end up believing that life itself is shallow. You have survival games where you beat against zombies. Why zombies? Why so many survival games and zombies? But at the same time, science says that through this, series of events that's going on in our society, many people will also end up as zombies. Can we also say that this, industry kind of wants to show us predictive programming? Well, maybe. But zombies were supposed to be brain-dead people. Brain-dead people hit very hard because they no longer feel pain. And brain-dead people may actually have access to more muscle extensions that we, in our existence, do, right? Because we only use a third of the muscles so that the others regenerate. But a zombie can actually use far more. And in this, there is a big problem, right? Because a zombie might actually one-shot you, but in a game they don't, because, the game wants you distracted. So all this being said, hopefully this video was introspective enough. You are appreciated. Take care and become introspective. Introspection is that which can easily save you from things. You are appreciated. You are more than good enough. Very John Board signing out.